Hello and welcome to Craft with Ronnie. I'm Ronnie Johnson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm coming to you today for Techniques Tuesday. Today we're going to be working on a card that focuses on tearing paper. I know it sounds kind of crazy to buy beautiful paper and then tear it up, but look at the great effect you can get with it. So I'm going to walk you through the card today. It's a pretty basic, simple card, and we're going to start out by pulling in our Stampin' Up! Trimmer and scorer, because we're going to be using both functions of it. I have a half a sheet of cardstock. This happens to be Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to score this. The scoring blade on this is actually, got this upside down. Helps if I can read the numbers. The light gray is the scoring blade and the dark is the cutting blade. So you want to keep your eyes on that. I've cut a few pieces that were intended to be scored in my time. Go ahead and score that, set that off to the side. This little piece of very vanilla cardstock is going to be the front of our card, and I don't know how well it shows in the camera, but I did a little bit of scoring on this piece as well, and what I did was I scored it at 1/4 of an inch, and again at 1/2 of an inch, and I made this the back side so that when I flip my card over, I got these really cute little score lines that kind of lift up and really add some interest to the card. So we're all done with the cutter. We'll set it off to the side. We'll go ahead and take our very vanilla piece and we're going to tear it. Now the key to this tearing technique is to tear towards yourself. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to take my time and tear it. No two will ever be alike. Okay. And remember, all these dimensions and instructions are going to be on my blog today as well. Now I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. This happens to be, let's see, what is the name of this paper? It's a really pretty paper pack of 6x6, inked Botanicals 6x6 Designer Series paper. And I've got a piece that's 1 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tear it towards me. This one's much easier to tear than the cardstock because it's a thinner paper. Okay, set those off to the side. I'm going to get my card base ready. I'm going to fold it. The handiest tool ever, the bone folder. Gives you those beautiful, nice creases that are so important for a good card. I'm going to set that off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and do our stamping. So the stamp set I chose to do today is inked and tiled. It happens to coordinate with the Designer Series paper that I chose. I like it. It's very eclectic and pretty simple, basic designs. So we're going to start with the large leaf. And one of the things I think I've talked about before is with these larger images, sometimes it's easier to take the ink to the stamp than the stamp to the ink. It's just easier to get good coverage. So I'm going to go ahead, ink that up, stamp my image. I said this is a pretty quick and simple card. Then I'm going to take my happy birthday sentiment, stamp it, add it to my card. Now this one's a little higher than my sample was, but there's a reason for that. I'm going to show you now the easiest way that I found to put this card together. It's always hard to try to get everything nice and lined up. So to make my decision as to where I was going to line up my Designer Series paper and my very vanilla cardstock, I put my Designer Series paper right where I want it to be. Take my glue. Now I've put my glue in one of these precision tip bottles that I got from, I think it was Amazon. It's actually for quilling, but I did it because I'm so heavy-handed with the multi-purpose glue that it oozes everywhere. So it's a little better control with that precision tip. Again, I'm going to bring it back in, line it up where I want it. And there, I have a perfect fit each time. I'm going to flip it up, add my dimensionals to the back. Oh, what will we do without dimensionals? They're like what makes the card pop. I'm going to add those, make sure I get plenty of them because I want this to really stand up and show off. And these little backings on these dimensionals are really something. I've found them in some of the oddest places. As a matter of fact, last fall, one traveled all the way to Rome with me. Husband opened up the suitcase and out it fell, and he said, "Oh my goodness, they really are everywhere." We found them in the dryer, in the lint trap. And recently, Stampin' Up! Started carrying mini dimensionals, and my husband found one of the little ones, and he said, "Oh my God, they're breeding." So there you go. There's our card. Pretty basic. You can see how simple that was. I'm going to grab a glue dot, and I took this little ribbon and just tied a basic square knot. I'm going to grab that glue dot, put that right onto my card. Now, another tip, and I'm not sure if I've talked about this before or not. When you don't have the perfectly matching embellishments, but you want perfectly matching, I'm going to put this away because I'll be in it otherwise. You can use your Stampin' Blends. This cardstock I'm using here and the ink is Lost Lagoon, one of the returning colors to Stampin' Up! So happy to see this retired color come back because it's always been one of my favorites. I'm going to take the Stampin' Blend and I'm just going to color a couple of my gems. And then I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, another tool I don't know what I do without. I love this little end here with the gummy part. Pick up my embellishments and just set them where I want them. Now I've got coordinating embellishments. So let's take a look at my completed card here. There it is, the first card that I made. For the inside, I did the same thing. I took another one of the images from the same stamp set, and I just stamped a simple image on the inside. I could have just as easily put a piece of the designer series paper, you know, another piece of this down the side, along the bottom. But this is a fast and simple card. Now I'm going to see if I can get this up here where you can actually see the lines. Those are some old techniques, but you know, I've said this before. Old can be really great. Old is tried and true, and it worked for us for a lot of years, so why not let it work for us now? So until next Tuesday, I'm Craft with Ronnie, and I hope you have a happy crafty week.